Good evening, everyone. So, here is another quite sustainable, actually, idea behind preventing wildfires, and that is using ducks and chickens. I believe this idea is basically inspired by goats. So, there was the proposal that has been gaining lots of attention that using goats to combat the bush, the under sort of grass and all of that stuff, which catches fire more rapidly, much more faster than trees, and um, makes burning it more easier. So the idea behind using goats was to clean that off, but it would be very difficult to cover an area that's bigger than most countries in Australia. So an alternative could be to create specific lines. You have the goats make those lines in advance. Maybe you start sustainable farming systems. You fund different startups or farm owners and have them give them like a land map and have them like give them a fire line boundary sort of thing in which they have to take their goats on a regular basis and have them clean off that underbush over there so that in the if whenever in some case fires do start erupting, they won't be able to cross that area. But aside from just that was one of the ideas I had. How would you use goats? Well, you could use them in this fashion by making them profitable as well, because they would be coming back and you could milk them and stuff like that and raise them. I mean, if there are farms established in forests in those areas, run by or supported by government in some strange manner, innovative manner, and they have a specific target or in a map there are specific areas that they need to clean off, which is like a boundary that runs around specific sections of the forest. I guess that could be done, and you designate different farms with different goat capacity to do that. However, why ducks? Why chickens and ducks? The reasoning is quite simple. They're more cheaper than uh, goats. That's the first point. They grow up faster and they're easier to multiply. So a goat might give a baby and they're mammals, so it would only be one kid, and that kid would take like 7-8 months and then another 2-3 months to grow up and things like that. uh, the milk is certainly a good aspect of it, but in the case of chickens and ducks, because they also can eat, I believe, the same amount of vegetation, there is that free pasture raised chicken concept and free range poultry that has been becoming more common these days along with permaculture. This is a really good idea, actually. Obviously, there you might face problems, uh, but then again, since they would be separated, uh, I mean, it's not like chickens from just one farm, or they would be connected with each other. So, most problems like spread of any diseases could be contained to that specific area. But ignoring that, I was just considering the cons. The pros: a chicken gives like, I don't know, you could get around 15 to 10 to 15 eggs every month. That's like a decent estimate for an organic free range one. It could be less, but then again, that's not exactly the goal. Same the case with ducks. You could incubate those eggs, you could sell those eggs, or if in the case of chickens, you go with a breed like game fowls or something of those sturdier ones that go broody themselves and would be more adept into living into wild environments. Wild fowls like chickens, I mean, there are lots of chicken breeds, and many are, I believe, more sturdier and more durable. And they also go broody, so they will hatch their own eggs, which should be a pro because their population would continue to increase on their own. Obviously, a human, if necessary, could look after them, and that would further increase their chances of survival. But then again, they will multiply faster, you'll be able to cover more area time after time in succession, as opposed to goats, where you would have to mostly rely on buying more. In the case of chickens, let's say you start with 10 or 10 hens, 2 roosters, 8 hens, whatever or like 2 roosters, 10 hens, you start with 12 of them. Those 10 hens, let's just say they give you 10 chicks each month on a consecutive basis for 7-8 months. 7 months, let's just say that. So you get 70 chicks by the end of the 7 months. Hopefully, the first batch would be adult because they reach sort of adulthood by 5, 6, 7 months of age. So you will start having adults at an early age. Those 10 chicks would further multiply, and like the multiplication rate is quite high, so you would have thousands of chickens from your initial 10 hens in no time. And those thousands will further produce thousands. You could, plus they're organic, they're healthy, they could be used for food purposes, for eggs purposes, which would further improve the overall health of the community because organic food is obviously better. But also, it would fix that problem. Same can be the case with ducks. I don't know how good duck meat is or eggs. They might be a good export idea, but ducks certainly eat a lot. And they also would fertilize the soil. So yeah, they would make the soil they leave behind more nourish, more fertile, and that could further improve with overall increasing the biodiversity of the place and improving the chances of growth of flora and fauna as well as water retention capacity over time, which have been being affected by constant natural disasters. But yeah, this proposal overall could be a very good idea. Goats have been gotten expensive. That is something that I have noticed because of their demand, but it doesn't necessarily have to be goats. Your target is to have animals eat off the underbush or all of that place so that fires cannot spread that quickly. So instead of using goats, you could probably use sheep, you could use similar animals that are. Why did I pick chickens? You could use turkeys, things like that. They eat grass and stuff like that as well. And chickens will eat all of the grain once they're used, I mean, all of the plants. I mean, you can't leave chickens with garden plants. There's a reason behind it. I have kept chickens, so I can say this with certainty. They would definitely wipe out everything. And maybe more effective than goats because of the sheer numbers that they bring along. So yeah, this is certainly a good idea. But there might be other possibilities. Depending on the need or the demand for a certain species, you could go with perhaps pigs or some other similar livestock.